All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Easy Hard versus Hard podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping you find the work that actually matters in your life. Today, I'm very excited for two reasons. Number one, we got Ben Gioia on the show, but number two, this is the 20th episode. And for those of you who know anything about podcasts, that is the Mendoza line. 1% do 3 podcasts, and then less than 1% get to 20. So this is a big day. So thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast along the way. But enough about that. Today, like I said, we have Ben Gioia, who's been so gracious because the last time we filmed this, there were some technical difficulties, as I mentioned, but he decided to come back for more punishment. No, actually, he's a great guy. So let me tell you a little about Ben. Ben Gioia, and his name's spelled Gioia, but it's pronounced Gioia, guides consultants, coaches, and small business owners in writing high-quality books that they're proud of in as little as 5 weeks. Wow. Ben's book writing and publishing clients speak at Harvard, get paid by Google, and land 5-figure workshop fees and 6-figure consulting gigs, even before their book is published. He offers concierge editing, publishing, and strategic book marketing through his imprint, Leadership Awake Press. More than 100,000 people are using Ben's books and business teachings worldwide. Ben is also an author of 4 international best-selling books and is the creator of the Influence with the Heart book writing method. So Ben, welcome to the show. I know that was a short introduction, but go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone.
That was fantastic, Bobby. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be back. It was super fun to chat with you once already in this context. And yeah, hooray for speaking more. No, it is indeed a pleasure to be here. And thank you for, sharing some of the highlights. Yeah, really, really lucky to be able to help people in the way I do. Right. I've been a writer forever since I was 12 years old, and I always wanted to write books. And I didn't know that my path to writing books would be business books, at least, at this point. And a funny situation of being invited to speak at Stanford, promising to bring books that I hadn't written yet to an event, and then writing, producing, publishing, shipping a book in 6.5 weeks, which is how this whole adventure started for me.
Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, so I know you told me that yeah, you signed up for the speaking gig and you promised books and 5 weeks. Was that a scary situation for you to have to produce something like that, or did you find it was more freeing in a way because you had an end and you couldn't say, better is the enemy of good enough, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I would say both, because absolutely I was terrified. Right? I mean, I was speaking at Stanford. I was doing a 2-day training, also got to write a book. Also I have to prepare the training. So there was terrification in that part of it. And there was no choice but to do it.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and that was amazing.
So I, so many people say, I've been told I should write a book or I want to write a book, but they never do it. Right. And I know we're both coaches and leadership kind of centered in our approaches to life and what we do on the outside. But what would you say to help someone get over the fear and to get over making excuses for not writing a book?
A couple things, several things probably. uh, Say, first, give yourself a break. Right? We're all so hard on ourselves, or most of us are. So, okay, you haven't done the book yet, or you're not finished, whatever it is. So give yourself a break first. Um, the discomfort around, writing a book, leading up to it, and then the actual activity, there is discomfort, right? No doubt about it. There can be fear for certain people. Instead of like, how do I get rid of this fear? It's how do I still get it done, even if I'm feeling the fear sometimes, right?
Yeah.
That's another big part of it. And then another big part of it, which is super important too, is that all the things, I would use that word liberally and accurately, all the things that people think are in the way, like time, and I don't know what to say, and how's it going to, be worth it, and how to connect it to my business, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. None of the stuff is in the way anymore, right? The internet, professional self-publishing, strategic approaches to book writing, like how I do it, right? Use the book to get clients and partners and referrals. long before it's published by talking to your ideal clients about the book you're writing. So you know what to write and you can guarantee it's going to work before you actually send it to press.
Yeah, yeah, no, and you mentioned the difficulty part and it all coming together. And I tell you, as someone who's written a book myself, I think that's once you start doing it, you start liking it because you'll bounce ideas in your head and I don't want to say they'll torment you, but they'll be in the back, in your synapse for days. But once it comes together, it is the most freeing. People always say they chase flow. Well, I'm going to encourage everyone listening, chase your flow by writing a book because you'll learn so much about yourself and the way you think, and you'll become more efficient in thought or whatever. Have you noticed that, or did you notice that, especially when you wrote it in the 5 week period?
I did indeed, and I want to interject for a second and say congratulations on publishing your book because I know that's just recently, like a couple days ago. So please, for my sake and the sake of the listeners, what's the name of your book? What's it about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, you're interviewing me on my podcast. I like it. Yeah, so the book is The Easy Hard versus Hard Hard. It's currently available on Amazon. By the time this comes out, you can also get it in print copy. As you know, that takes a little bit longer to review and get through all those channels. But yeah, it just outlines my method. So as the audience knows, I was battling depression and lost my meaning and purpose in life. And I found that it wasn't what I was doing or how I was doing something, it was what I was doing. And once I found that work, what I call the hard, um, before I was working for other people, I was doing things for the approval of other people. And I just want to share this method out there because it's slightly different than most life coaches or leadership coaches. And it's all based on a self leadership theory, which means you must lead yourself before you lead others. And of course, the work we do, how we interact, how we behave every single day is all on us, right? It's if we cannot do it for ourselves. And again, the world loves to say, oh, don't be selfish. But by taking care of yourself, you're then present, you're able to be there for others. And again, this book isn't about me. It's not an accolade. A lot of people are like, oh, it's hard, but it's the approval of others. You want people to buy your book or whatever. Well, really I don't. I just want someone's life to change. I don't want anyone to be in the same situation I am in. So while it is a leadership and a business coaching on the back end, it's not a sales pitch because that's not how I operate. I want people to come and change their lives, and it's already happening. The response, and this probably goes into what you do with your publishing company is, the response you get when you write a book. It automatically raises your, I don't know, your expertise, your subject matter expert, same thing again, expertise, but it gives people a sense of comfort. And if you've taken that discipline to write a book, then maybe they'll take the discipline to do what you're asking them to do or make the changes in their life that they need. But no, thank you. Like I said, this isn't about me in the book. I'm sure people are tired of hearing it, but again, if you haven't picked it up, pick it up, and it's 99 cents, and if you leave me a review on Amazon, which is all part of the game, and we can talk about the game if you want. But I will gladly send you a signed copy of the book once I receive them. Which I tell you, that's one thing I had to learn is all the delays and the editing and all that stuff. And that's why I think having a person like you is so beneficial to the book writing, because there are so many things. I don't know if you've ever heard the book Who Not How, or read the book Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. Don't focus. This is what I would tell everyone, and I want you to expound on this. Don't focus on what you have to do. Just go out and do it, because there are other people, like you said, there's people like you that can get you through the process and make it so seamless, and it takes away that stress and anxiety of that. Is there anything you want to say about that whole process of writing a book that you've experienced?
Yeah, that there's some, what I said earlier about that there's nothing in the way, literally nothing in the way. The biggest thing that I hear, or most frequent, biggest two, is time. I don't have enough time. I'm so busy. And yeah, we're all busy. I get that. And I'm not disagreeing with anyone's busyness, but what I have my authors do, or my authors to be do, right, to optimize the book writing process is a bit of what I mentioned before, having conversations with their ideal clients to have the focus and the clarity, right? So they're not all around here trying to figure out what's the book. It's like, okay, this is what my ideal clients need. And then I give them a blueprint to follow, right? What needs to go where in super detail, right? So mapping it out, knowing what needs to be, knowing the spaces that need to be filled and knowing what needs to go in there. And then, and I, not all my authors do this, but I encourage it, dictation, strategic dictation for one's book. Doesn't mean you have to dictate the whole book, but the idea of dictating a section at a time, because if you can dictate for the space of 5 minutes, right, give yourself some bullet points, talk through them, teach. In 5 minutes, you can have 750 words, and 750 words is 3% of a 25,000 word book. So 3% of a book that's about 160 pages long.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that tip very helpful, the whole dictation, because you have to drive, you have to, maybe walk your dogs, or you can incorporate the time into other things you're doing. And again, it's not multitasking, because I don't believe the human brain can actually multitask. But if you're taking a walk, pull out your phone. There are apps out there. There's a lot. There's Otter, there's Fathom. There's probably a million of them out there I don't even know about yet.
And I would love to add, because I figured this one out recently, I've used Fathom, and Fathom is amazing. I encourage it for the Zoom calls, Otter too. But an easy thing on the phone, just open the email app and voice dictate into an email message to yourself. Like, when in doubt, you still have the tools with you, even if you don't have, an app for it.
Oh yeah, I never even thought about that. Now with the phones too, I mean, I'm sure there's voice memos on a lot of these. Well, you want something that types for you, right? Notes. I don't know if you have an Apple phone or what, but yeah, but I mean that saves so much time. And another thing that dictating it does, it gets it into a conversational tone, because you and I are sitting here talking, but then I don't know what, when you start writing, you're like, oh, I got to be more formal or this or that. But challenge all of you to think about the books that you've read, and especially if they're nonfiction books. The best ones are the ones that are more conversational. You can use contractions, you can use, punctuation and all that stuff. It's not going to my mom, who was an English professor, to grade my paper. It's the way we communicate, and that's what books should be. Now, there is a place for the more formal and the academic style books, but that's why I really, and as someone who came from academia for the past 3 years before I wrote mine, I had to break that, because contractions are like the devil. You don't want to see them on a page, and you want to make sure everything's right. But in a book, it doesn't matter. So the dictation. What else? What other tips do you have for that? Because the time, everyone loves to say, I don't have enough time. I challenge people, look, if you take care of the thing you're thinking about, you're going to have more time, because the cognitive space that's saying I'm going to do something and not doing I love to say, stop thinking and do. The more you think about something, the less you do. And if you think about all the time you've taken to think, you could have written your 750 words or 1,500 words or whatever it is in the time you were telling yourself, oh, I don't have time to do this, right?
Exactly that. Yeah. I appreciate you saying all this, and also saying it from your own experience. I mean, I've seen this again and again and again with my clients. The when you follow methodologies, a lot of times they can help you not think. Right? Like, here's the path. Okay. And it's interesting, because you're creative, I'm creative, all my clients are creative. Right. So there's a natural tendency for so many of us to be like, I'm not going to do it this way. Right. Because even though your method works, I'm not going to do it this way. Like, I have a client, he came to me after like 4 months. He's like, Ben, I'm finally doing it your way. I was like, thank you. Right. Um, but it's amazing, because there's that whole entrepreneurial spirit, which is part of what's driving the book. Right. Not to mention the passion and all things. And then suddenly, I find this with my clients, like, they run up against a method, or an architecture. And I say to them, look, it's boundaries, just to hold the space and channel, the ideas that need to go through. But it's still your book, right? We can still rearrange things. We can still make it yours. I have one of my, early on clients, and she wrote a book called Being Brown in a Black and White World. Somebody at Google found her from her book. She didn't have a relationship with her, saw her book, and they hired her to speak at Google because they spotted her book, right? Amazing. Anne Marie put poetry in her business book about DEI, right? So we have a beautiful opportunity, in our business books to still be creative, to be the creative entrepreneurs we are, right? As long as we're just, making sure that we're writing it for the right people and not saying, okay, these are all the things because I know these things that need to go in there, right? It's yes, these things, and are our people looking for them, and how do we make that bridge to connect the two?
Yeah, yeah. So many people want to do it their way, but until you until you do it someone else's way, because you don't know this, right? If we all knew how to write a book, we'd all be writing books. There'd be way more than there are already. So I encourage people, try someone's method and try it, and then you'll get it. It's kind of like, I'm a baker, and so I like to look at recipes, but what I love more than looking at recipes are the comments on recipes. So you'll have some sourdough bread, right? And someone will write a comment, well, this didn't work because I didn't want to use sourdough. Well, like, okay, you've applied your own will and whatever, but of course it didn't work out because it was sourdough bread. That's the key element to the bread, right? So once, but let's say you make sourdough and I tell you to use all-purpose flour or this brand of flour, and maybe you come back to me later and say, well, I tried this flour, or I threw a little rye in there, or a little whole wheat flour, or whatever. That's what creativity is. I mean, sometimes you have to follow a structure which you give someone and then go through it. And I preach this in my coaching all the time, is try something, but make sure you try it long enough. Because so many people say, I've tried everything, and they give up. But if you go down this path, especially in book writing, follow the process. It's going to make it easy, and it's there for a reason. It's not like you just made it up for that person, right? It's tried and true, and you see, progress there. And but so what do you do for people like, I mean, you had the one guy, he said he did it a different way, came back. Of course, you can't control what people do, right? I mean, people are gonna do what they do. But what suggestion do you have for those, on the fence, who wanted who want to write a book, but they're hesitant to follow someone else's process?
Uh, uh, stop thinking like that, right? Like your business is not going to work if you're not willing to follow somebody's process, right? That applies to everything, to book writing, to accounting, right? To business development. I mean, do you want to hire a lawyer to do your IP contracts and get in there and do it yourself? No, right? You're going to lose everything you own.
Yeah, yeah. Have trust in the people you hire, right? It's very, very critical, or else why would you hire them, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, talk to them, understand, check them out, like due diligence and all of those kinds of things. But it's especially important to keep in mind in the book writing and publishing world that a lot of the coaches and publishers out there, of which I am both, right? A lot of coaches and publishers, like say book writing coach, a lot of them just focus on the book writing, but don't focus on the business development that needs to foundationalize the book writing. Like that's something I do because I figured out somewhere on my journey, I was like, wait a minute, we got to solve for this. And, that talking to the ideal clients, right? The other part is that there's a bunch of publishers out there, and you can say these kinds of things about many industries. Unfortunately, there's a lot of publishers out there who will publish your book, right? And I'm talking traditional publisher, hybrid publishers, like the whole range, right? They will publish your book, but most of them don't do marketing unless it's an add-on, because most publishers don't, right? They're looking to sell books for their benefit, which is fine, right? And most publishers don't do anything, provide any strategic guidance, because there are 6 or 7 or 8 things, 6 to 8 things, strategic things that one can do their book before, during, and after the actual publishing, right? That align with, hey, I'm bringing the book to the world. So, hey, one strategic move, for example, is let me get the cover designed before the book comes out. Let me start marketing the cover, right? This is how Ben, got a 10-month consulting gig with the Fortune 100 company, right? Because when I frantically wrote that book that I promised to Stanford, in the background, as I was frantically writing, I had somebody design the cover. I put it up on LinkedIn and I said, hey, celebrate with me. My next book is coming. That's all I said. right? And somebody reached out, a consultant is like, hey, I'm on this project, right? Fortune 100 coming, MIT, 20,000 people to play this video game that we're going to create. We saw your book. And in my head, I'm going, you didn't see my book, but we saw your book. We'd like you to write the curriculum. And lo and behold, the book got me in the door. The book was not finished.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is so powerful. And again, that whole marketing piece, again, there is the obstacle of writing the book. Obviously, we've talked about that, but then the marketing piece, and that's why it's so beautiful to go to with someone like you, because if you're someone like me who's a self-described introvert, I've never, taken a test or been clinically diagnosed as that. It is very difficult to put it out there. And I did the exact same things you did. I mean, even when I started writing, before I had a cover, I said, hey, I'm proud to announce I'm writing a book. Well, that generates interest. And one thing that you'll learn, and most people learn when you do get in the book writing industry, you're not going to, unless you're one of these top John Grisham's or I don't know, James Patterson or somebody like that, you're not going to really make money on the book itself. You're going to make money on the marketing behind the book. And a lot of times I think for people, their first go and they want to get their ideas out there and promote their business or whatever they want to promote, even if it's just goodwill. If you have the best idea in the world, but you don't tell anybody about it, what good is it, right? It's like you have the good idea for yourself, but you already know it because it's your idea. So that marketing piece. So walk me through that a little bit. So your program, not only do you help with the publishing itself, and we'll talk about your press here in a second, but you also help give them tools and I'm assuming templates or at least a guided path on to, hey, this is where you're at, this is where you're going, this is the things you need to post on social media, YouTube, whatever is out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's content, it's strategic activity, right? Because, like I said, there's these 6 to 8 things that start doing, with the release of the cover all the way through one's bestseller launch and beyond. Right.
Yeah.
So we map out all of those kind of things. So, and we do a lot of that planning during the time that my publishing team is actually working on the digital and physical aspects of the book. Right. I'll work with the author to do all of that strategic planning and make sure they're all set up to go. Again, this idea of even though we're doing things quickly, that they're so systematized, methodology-ified, right?
Yeah.
That 20 minutes a day, 6 days a week is how I describe it for people. Like if you do what I say, 20 minutes a day, 6 days a week, or that equivalent over the course of a week, you'll get the draft done in 5 to 13 weeks, and you can go from idea, all the way to a book in your hand in 6 to 8 months.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's I mean, 20 minutes a day, we all have that. So don't say I don't have time. 20 minutes. I mean, you waste that scrolling through social media. Imagine if you're creating something that someone else will get to see when they scroll social media. So, I mean, it's such a, and one other thing about the process that I think is so encouraging is you start with nothing, a blank piece of paper, and then you get the design, and then you get some content, you get the table of contents, all that stuff laid out. But then one day you'll get a PDF or a full manuscript of your book and it becomes real. And that is so cool because, you started off blank and 5, 13, 20 weeks, whatever it takes. The key is, listen, people, we're talking weeks here. We're not talking years. I mean, we're not, I think you posted one day, and forgive me if I get this wrong, like the best book is a done book, or it was, I think that was you, or so, or I saw it somewhere and I attribute it to you. So yeah, you can steal it. But really that's the key. I mean, people always say better is the enemy of good enough. And really you can always make things better. I don't know about you as an author, but I read things I wrote a year ago and I'm like, what was I thinking? This could be so much better, right?
Totally.
But if we did that, we'd always be in pursuit of something better. And in the coaching world, everyone says be the best version of yourself. Well, no, be a better version of yourself. So this was a year ago, my next one. And another thing, people, you can release a second edition. If new information comes to light, especially in the business world and business books, like some people, I mean, right now that you can probably get 1 million AI books. Well, will AI be written about in the same way in 5 years as it is today? Chances are no, right? Because the advancements are so quick. So don't don't wait for that perfect opportunity. And do you have any thoughts on that, or any insights more that you could provide on that? And tell me if I'm dead wrong as well.
Yeah, no, lots of thoughts. Yeah, I was a hospice volunteer for about 3 years when I used to live in San Francisco. Yeah, so write your book before you die, because if you're conscious enough to know you're on the way to dying and you're hanging out in regret of your book or of anything, right? Like that is a really crappy way to go. I've witnessed that several times, right? So yeah, take your shot, all those things, right? Forgive yourself, forgive other people, do that stuff. Another thing is, yes, you can do a second edition, but I would actually recommend a different book with a lot of overlapping content, right? Because it's, okay, there's that second edition, great. He added a paragraph, great. But what about the same core message that's the core thing you teach, but in a different book, because it now looks like you're the author of two books, because you are, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I didn't really
Yeah.
thought about that approach, but you're right. And the cool thing is once you get the first book and you write the second one, you can always reference back. So many of the very famous authors do that, in the leadership field. You get, Dan Sullivan, his last book, he talked about his first book and all this stuff, because there is that synopsis and across all the books that you write, because it's still the same idea. I mean, look at even like Tony Robbins, the same ideas he's writing about today as the things that he started about before. He's just perfecting them. And I loved what you said earlier about talking to your clients and talking to all these people and find out what they want. And what better way for a book? Send a chapter to a colleague or a client of yours and see what they think. People will give you feedback, and it's a lot easier if they have something to read that they can relate to versus just calling them up and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Well, they don't have context, but a chapter, any kind of written work helps lead the witness in a lot of way to get you what you want to do and perfect your product. So very, very good. And I hope people listening, if you're thinking about writing a book, we're going to put Ben's contact information in here and contact him, at least have a conversation with him, because you got to explore this. Because I like to say, if you're not willing to do the work, don't do the work. I'm going to take it a little step further and say, don't even think about doing the work, because don't put something in your brain. Henry Ford said it best: whether you say you can or you can't, you're right. So stop saying when I write a book, start saying while I'm writing my book, or I'm in the process of writing my book, because it is freeing. And I tell you what, I started writing my first one. I came up with my second, third, and fourth ideas right away. And I'm sure most people will too, because it is so fun once you get past the fear and the doubt. But anything else you want to talk about that? Because I do want to move on to your publishing company, your new press that you've created, which is pretty exciting. Anything else you want to talk about writing the book itself?
Thank you. No, I think we did quite a good job. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So those listening, if you want to write a book, do it. All right. We'll leave it at that. All right. So you've just recently started your own press, Influence with the Heart. It's a method. Well, that's not your press, right? Your press is something different, right?
Yep. Thank you. Leadership Awake Press.
Leadership. Tell us a little bit about the idea behind that and what you're doing with that.
Yeah, thank you. So for a couple years now, many of my authors have been published under that imprint, right? Like I've had it kind of underground as I've been thinking about it, and for a long time, wait, should I make my own publishing company? And then a few weeks ago, I was like, I'm going to announce it. um, and what I realized was that for a lot of folks like us, the best kind of publisher to work with is what I described as a professional self-publisher, right? So it's self-publishing as the mode, the methodology, right? The author owns all the intellectual property. It's under their accounts. Like the author's in full control, but they're getting professional help, which is really important. So professional self-publishing, because it provides the most dynamic, flexible way to go with one's book. Right? So that being the case with Leadership Awake Press, it's like, hey, I want to have a professional self-publishing company that gives the author full control, full freedom, and full ownership, and showcases authors or people who become authors who are purpose-driven, mission-driven, right? Consultants, coaches, speakers, leaders, small business owners, right? The people who are making a difference in the world through the books, through the work they're doing, through the speaking, etc. Um, they all, when somebody says to them, "Hey, who published your book?" Right? They should be able to say a cool sounding press, right? And have the opportunity or have a showcase for their book. And I want to provide the showcase as well as the services, and they're bringing an amazing book to the world.
Yeah, yeah. So you're bringing like-minded, at least I don't want to say like-minded in every way because you said a lot of different disciplines there, but people with purpose. So and it gives everyone like a roof to go under, because if you read my book under your press and then you read somebody else's book, it leads. It's like a self-leaking ice cream cone, right? It just generates interest across the world. But that's cool. What made you come up with this concept, especially for this discipline? Was there something in particular that got you to say, "Hey, I want to do this leadership, purpose-driven kind of thing"?
It probably, I could spin out my answer to cover like the last 41 years of my life. A big part of it is how could I make a big impact in the world, right? Instead of trying to help a million people directly, which is exhausting, right? Let me help these people who have networks and communities that they're impacting. Let me help these folks write their books, right? So I can reach a bunch of people, but do it much more sustainably and enjoyably. So that was a big part of it. I realized in many wacky experiences in my life that there's a distinct difference between pain and suffering, right? This is the magic and the wisdom of what the Buddha taught about 2,600 years ago as well. And I realized, oh crap, you don't have to suffer through your book writing, right? So that was part of why I wanted to, teach this method, and then have a place of, you kind of said it already, like-minded individuals and people who are, on the earth to make some kind of difference in, their little corner of the globe or their big corner of the globe, whatever the case may be, right? Because the more of us that do that stuff, the better the world is. Right? Clearly, there's a lack of leadership in the world, or I should say, a lack of quality leadership in the world. So, this is some of what we're born to right now. So, hey, we get to step up, and some days that sucks, absolutely, right? But a lot of days, like, what a brilliant opportunity, because most people in the world won't do what we're doing. And I'm not saying it from a place of ego, like they can't, they won't, right? Their mind won't even go there. But hey, we have this awareness, this clue, this opportunity, this privilege. Um, let's go and let's see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. I heard a guy say one time, God doesn't put something in your mind that he doesn't want you to do. And that should be purpose enough for most people. So again, get over the thinking, get into the doing, and share that purpose with someone else, because you never know who you're going to touch, right? We in the leadership, coaching, consulting community, we all speak the same language. We read the same books, we do whatever. But once you put that out for someone else, they may have never heard that, right? It's that realm of it, sphere of influence that each of us have. And again, you're not, nothing's new. You're just stating it in a way that maybe someone likes you, or they know you, so they're going to read your book, but they're not going to go read all these 25, 30, 40 books that you've read to get to where you're at, go to the classes, whatever. Your life experiences were all different. So I applaud you in that, to get that out and put it under one roof like that is truly amazing. And I know you're going to give the website, but there's a way that people can get to, I mean, your press and the books and promoting the authors that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so easiest place is my website, influencewithaheart.com. Influencewithaheart.com. There are a bunch of resources, courses, and good free things under the tools menu, right? So really easy to find. And in the meanwhile, I am, of course, on LinkedIn, Ben Gioia, Gioia. But if you can't remember that, just go to my website and you'll sooner or later get to LinkedIn as well.
And we'll put all this in the show notes, so if you're driving or whatever, you don't have to stop or cause like a wreck or whatever. So go take a look at those, and you can go find them. And I encourage you to follow Ben on LinkedIn, because he does post a lot of really good thought-provoking pieces and articles and just daily posts that will make you think and say, oh man, I never thought about it this way. And that's the key to leadership, is taking other people's thoughts. And because again, if leadership at its nutshell, or at least the most basic definition I ever found, is getting someone to do what they don't want to do or normally want to do. And you've got to understand why people aren't doing stuff. You've got to kind of get in that whole behavioral cognitive science of why people do what they do or don't do what they do. And that's the best influence you can provide, right? And of course, you got to do it yourself, right? Never do something so don't go tell someone to write a book if you haven't written a book yourself. Now, I'm interested, are you going to publish? I know you're writing a book right now, right? You're currently in the throes of another book, right? Your fifth.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, or is it so new that it's
It's not that it's actually been bubbling for a long time, and I wrote the first draft this year, and now it's bubbling some more. I know the essence of it, but just for the good of the sake of the energy, I don't want to say it publicly yet what it is or what it's about, but just that I'm really excited because it's been bubbling for a long time. It feels really good. It's book number 5, which is exciting. I'm like, holy crap. Because, if you know my history, like I was a hot mess for a long time. And, I pulled a lot of things together and things are working. So, a lot of gratitude, a lot of humility, and yay for book number 5.
No, that's awesome. Well, you and I will be in contact with each other, and of course, I'll announce it when it comes out, and we'll
Thank you.
link. I'm assuming your website will link to your other books. If not, I'll provide other links. But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, 5 books. I don't know what the statistics are on that. I mean, I'm sure what less than 1% write a book in general, but 5, it's like, ooh, man, it's crazy. So probably in a few years, you'll be at like the 20 or 30 mark, Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Or,
Uh, no. Well, best of luck on that. I
thank you.
understand that whole process because, like you said, like I said earlier, I've got a few ruminating too, and they come and go, and it's a jot notes, set up files. I mean, that's the beauty of computers today. I don't know how people did it back in the turn of the century, how they wrote books. I guess they had to keep like little notepads and everything around, and oh man, that must have been terrible, but.
Parchment.
Yeah. I just, oh man, like especially the Stoics where they just carve it on stones or whatever. But now I'm joking a little bit. But anything else you want to talk about the publishing company or anything else that you want to put out to the world?
Just do write your book. There's people waiting for you right now, and your book will invariably elevate your business and your life. And yeah, it's terrifying. It is one of the single best things you will ever do. So please do it, and happy to help if I can.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. And you said something very spot on there. People are waiting for it. That's one thing I found because your message, your story is so different than anyone else's story, and putting it in a way that they've never heard it before, like I said, is so beautiful. And yeah, so I can't encourage it enough people to do it. Of course, if you write a book, let me know. I'll read it. I'll read. I love to read, and then get you on the podcast too once you write your book, right? If that's my offer to all the other people listening today. All right. Well, Ben, again, I thank you. You've been more than generous, and let's keep our fingers crossed that this audio is great. But I'm sure it'll be great. I ask all my guests, as I mentioned before, my method is the easy hard versus hard. Easy is to, for the approval of others. Hard is what you truly want, work that matters to you, in your case, with a purpose, right? To use your words. What would you say today is your hard?
Like it crosses the line between both. um, but it's it's the keeping my eye on. Since I was 12 years old, I wanted to write a book. Pardon me, and which I have written books, but I wanted to write a novel first. Yeah. So there are days when I'm, spot on going after it, and there are days when I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it because it's too hard. So just I just and that's why there's that kind of step back and forth because I've just realized this through my own journey with books and my authors' journeys with their books. um, you know, uh, it's like a spiritual journey, right? And it's gonna, you know, even if you think, even if you're living, you know, spot on, um, and doing all the things you need to do and taking care, um, it's gonna still throw you some magnificent curveballs, you know, that will make, you know, everything. w- I can't even say the words for it. It just takes it all up like never before. And for some people, that's scary as hell. If it's scaring you, you know, please do go for it. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and especially if it means something to you. I mean, you said you know since you were 12 years old, you wanted to write a novel, so it means something to you. And so I would say that yeah, it's hard-hearted, and hard-hearted doesn't mean that everything's going to fall into place, but you know, during that process and that journey, like you said, it is hard to put into words, right? It's almost like an experience that is only for you. And I think that helps clarify because a lot of people ask me, oh, how do you know when you have your heart? Well, sometimes you know because you can't put it into words, but it's still a struggle, right? The difference between you and most people is like you said, some days are hard and you don't want to do it. Well, either you'll do it or you'll pause and you'll do it the next day. The hard is truly don't let every single day be an excuse and don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Because like you said, it's a spiritual journey, it's a mental journey. It's going to make you a better person because it's what you truly want. And then so that is a great example. I know I kind of threw you off a little bit.
no, no, no. It was. I really appreciate it because you know, you just helped me understand a few extra things. Just, you know, like I got to talk through it, and then your reflection was really, really, you know, extra spot on. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, look, we both benefit because, like I said, a lot of people say, "What's the hard? How will I know?" Well, you'll know when you know. I mean, I hate to say it that way because it sounds like, "Oh, there's no path here," but you do will know, and you will know. And well, beautiful, and we look forward to that novel. And you know, I know it's coming, and I applaud you because I very seldomly read fiction, but I'm always amazed at how people can pull it together in the descriptions and bring this character in and that character in. It's truly an art that I don't know if I possess or not because I've never tried it, but I don't, you know, I think about it sometimes. And so, maybe one day I'll write a novel too. We'll see. But, man, again, I thank you so much.
Thank
You're
you.
more than gracious, and I applaud what you're doing and what you're going to be doing. And I look forward to both your books and your author's books. And, any last words before I give my closeout?
Just thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure. Round two. Thanks.
So yeah. Round. Hopefully, we don't have too many round twos. That's another. That's a hard thing right there. Is learning all this technology, and that I need to take my own advice, who not how, and bring some help in. But um, anyways, everyone, thank you so much for listening, and I appreciate all your support. And again, we'll follow Ben. We'll give it all of his links in the show notes. And then if you're interested in this or know somebody who's thinking about writing a book, send them this podcast. Let's get this out there. Let's give people the options. But until next time, I'm Bobby Shelton. Keep chasing your heart hard and finding the work that actually matters to you. Everyone have a great day.